America in 1920. What did Americans then do with themselves on a pleasant Saturday evening in the good old summertime? Let's take a look at a newspaper printed in that year and see what our choices are. Now, what'll it be? The movies? A ball game? A Broadway show? Or perhaps a night at the old music hall? For those seeking diversion in those post-war years, minstrel shows still packed them in, and vaudeville would still claim a following. It was entertainment close to America's heart, and it seemed it would last forever. But now, across the street from the old music hall, there was more competition from the spectacles of the silver screen. The business of movie making was booming. 1919, 4 film pioneers made cinematic history when they launched their own company known as United Artists. The partners included epic film director D.W. Griffith, comic actor Charlie Chaplin, romantic lead Douglas Fairbanks, and America's sweetheart Mary Pickford. The object of their enthusiasm? The screen spectacle, a form honed to perfection by the legendary director Erich von Stroheim. With great hoopla, Hollywood fielded its first million-dollar movie, an extravaganza that called for the replication of a sizable part of the city of Monte Carlo. Nearby, the sands of Southern California served as a set for a series of swashbuckling Arabian adventures, and the king of those rolling dunes was Rudolph Valentino. With Agnes Ayres, Valentino starred in The Sheik, a role which drove a generation of women to swoon at his feet. Meanwhile, the opposite sex found an eyeful in the It Girl, Clara Bow, the female sex symbol of the era. Then, strictly for laughs, there were Mack Sennett's Keystone Cops, the madcap comics of the age, plus the antics of perpetually unlucky Fatty Arbuckle. For those fond of thrills, the movie served up a mixed bag of monstrous villains, but none was more terrifying than John Barrymore's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In a classic case of bad timing, Jekyll's inquisitive fiancée arrives just as the murderous Mr. Hyde is about to make an appearance. In his last rational act, the scientist gulps down a vial of poison, but he has taken the potion too late. The monster within the man of science has been turned loose on the very woman he loved. It's the kind of encounter that is likely to disturb even the most liberal-minded young lady. For the heroine, it had been an exhausting afternoon, while for the good doctor, who had brashly tampered with nature, it would prove fatal. Undeterred by such challenges to science, radio was busy developing the new art of broadcasting. It was 1920 when America's first commercial radio signal was sent out by station KDKA, which broadcast the presidential campaign returns to a widespread audience. Here, the voice of the vice presidential candidate, FDR.
For America demands that the crime of war shall cease.
In that year, too, the Brooklyn Dodgers of the National League took on the Cleveland Indians of the American League. Though it was not yet possible to broadcast the game over the radio, when Dodgers pitcher Burley Grimes scored on Thomas Griffith's double, word went over the telegraph lines to the thousands gathered in Times Square. Watch the flashing scoreboard. Incidentally, Cleveland won the series that year, 5-2. But if baseball was America's popular passion, tennis, once the sport of the privileged, was broadening its appeal, thanks in part to the meteoric career of Vince Richards, filmed in an exhibition match with world champion Karl Kozlov. Richards was to become one of the first tennis pros and was among the few who could stand up to Karl Kozlov's celebrated trick shots. Sports preoccupied much of America, now that mechanical conveniences were increasing leisure time.